Well, thank you for joining us. I know our speaker before was certainly really fascinating, talking about the geopolitical situations going on. And what we're going to focus on, we're going to take it now to the people side of things. And we're going to talk about how you can attract, retain, and skill your workforce and some of those challenges. So joining me today, we have James Marsh from Goodwill Industries. He's going to be talking about his program. And then also Bill Bowden from Rapid Tech. Did I say Rapid Tech?
Repair Tech.
Repair Tech. I knew that was not correct when I said that. And then Walter Urbanchuk from AeroDef Rocketdyne. So we have a combination here of resources, a small employer and a large employer. And so we'll spend about the next 40 minutes together. What we're going to do is each of the speakers will do a presentation, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. And if you want to do to the next slide, I think that we'll have the Slido that you guys can go ahead and send your questions to.
I think it just turned that one. It didn't.
Oh, it didn't. Okay, it didn't turn that. All right.
Okay, they may have.
All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and begin. And if you want to put up the slide for Goodwill Industries, there you go, James.
Okay. Hello. Okay. Thanks, Patricia, for the introduction. I really appreciate that. So again, my name is James Marsh, and I'm the Sector Strategies Coordinator for Goodwill Southern California for our Workforce and Career Development Department. I know that most of you know the name Goodwill, but not all of you know exactly what Goodwill does. Goodwill, our primary focus is not our thrift stores or our kind of charitable work. It's really about assisting individuals with finding a job. So our motto is transforming lives through the power of work. And really what our thrift stores are, that most of you have probably heard of or maybe visited at some point in time to take old clothes or shoes or books. The stores are used not just to provide a way for people to buy secondhand goods or buy materials at a low cost. It's really used to develop really seed money or revenue for us to assist our workforce career development efforts. So really what we're all about is assisting people with finding jobs, and that's really what Goodwill is for. So let me move on here. Okay, so part of what I want to talk about in my time while I'm here is that, so Goodwill, we work with a number of different employers to assist them with their hiring needs and assist them with recruiting qualified individuals to fill their positions. So one of those such companies that we've worked with and are currently working with is Northrop Grumman Corporation. Northrop Grumman was awarded a large contract a few years ago to build a new bomber, and they basically estimated they were going to need 3,000 to 4,000 entry-level positions to be filled, and they didn't really kind of have the means or the manpower to go about finding that many new individuals to hire. So they looked to City of Palmdale, Antelope Valley College, and Goodwill Southern California to develop a partnership and a training program that would basically create a pipeline to recruit, train, and hire individuals to fill those positions. So the aircraft fabrication program was born out of that idea and out of that partnership. So, and basically what it is that Goodwill Southern California, we work to recruit the individuals for this program, and then we find them, we recruit them, and then they're trained at Antelope Valley College in 4 classes: blueprint reading, aircraft structures, composites, and aircraft ethics. So once someone goes through that program, they get trained, then afterwards, then they're then in line to be interviewed and hired by Northrop Grumman in the aircraft assembly division. So with these classes, basically it's a short, intensive program. So what it is, the classes are offered during the spring, summer, and fall semesters. Students they're in class 40 to 50 hours per week. There's a lot of homework they have to do, but basically it's an intensive program to get them trained and skilled in a short amount of time to make them qualified for these positions. Goodwill, we assist individuals with providing them with books, supplies, tuition, fees, and other supportive services. We pay for all of that, and we take that need away from them to assist them while they're in school. So you can see here with the blueprint, basic blueprint interpretation, what they're learning. And what's great about these classes is that all of the classes and all the material in the classes was designed by Northrop Grumman. So everything that they're learning is specific for what Northrop Grumman is looking for, in addition to other employers in the region who may want to hire them upon completion of the program. So they're not just learning kind of useless or kind of random facts or information. Everything they're learning is specific for employers who have a need. So you can see here for the aircraft structures, and again, there's a layout of what they're learning, and then there's even pictures of individuals in the classes. So now what's with these classes, there was a huge demand once its advertisement and once information for this program got out. So we've had hundreds of individuals who have basically stepped forward and have looked to be part of the program. So it's taken a tremendous amount of effort to recruit and screen individuals to get them into classes and then get them ready for Northrop Grumman to interview and then ultimately hire. And then here we have the composites fabrication and repair classes. And what I really like about the program is that a lot of times people may think that they're not really right for certain industries. They may think, well, I can never work for a defense contractor. I couldn't do assembly or manufacturing kind of work. But a lot of times people really can. It's just really a matter of finding the people who have the interest, who have the aptitude, and who have just really the desire to succeed and go forward. So if you screen properly and if you work with people, you can find the people for this. So we've found people, women, veterans, minorities. So this program is really open to all, and it's really helping to really kind of revitalize the economy in the Antelope Valley region and really open up doors and opportunities for individuals who may not, who have thought that doors would be open for them. Here are just some additional class pictures. And the need and the program has grown so much that we're actually starting to work with the local school district. So the program has even moved past Antelope Valley College and it's now moved to the high school level. So that even high school students are now beginning to take classes to prepare for the program as well. And the program is designed for individuals to not only be hired for an entry-level position with Northrop Grumman, but to continue on in their educational career path to receive a BA in aircraft manufacturing. So individuals who have the desire to shoot even higher can do that. So here are some numbers for the program. So you can see that there's been 743 individuals that have been trained in the program. 743 have been serviced to the program, 425 have been trained in the program, and the 364 have been hired through the program.
And James, I'm going to just,
please,
for those not familiar, between served and trained, I'm going to jump in with that question.
Yes.
Because that's a workforce term.
Yes. So what that means is that everybody who is identified and brought through the front doors and we work with is going to receive a service of some type. We're going to help them with their job search and their career development. But not everyone may be right for this program. Not everyone may qualify for it. But we're never going to just turn someone away. We're never going to let someone go, well, sorry, you weren't right for this program, that's it. So we're going to provide them a service. We're going to assist them in some way. So if they're not right for this program, we'll see if they're right for another program. If they need help in some way, we're going to basically assist them in every way possible with their workforce career development needs.
Right.
So.
And so the important numbers on this screen too is that, so we have the total served, and then there's a differential of, little like 375 people that then were met the parameters to be accepted into that program, they have initial assessment tests they take, and then your numbers are great there because then you've got the number of people that were hired by Northrop, you add that to placed by other companies, and so you have almost about a 90% plus rate there. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, thank you. Yeah, the numbers have been great, and it's really about the screening process. So if you take the time and effort, and it's been a tremendous effort to kind of screen, work with individuals, get them ready. these are the results that you can see. And this is really just one employer that we're working with. There's a number of other employers, other industries and sectors as well. So it can be successful in other industries as well. But and then you can see some of the demographic numbers there with women and veterans as well. So I think, okay. So the Northrop Grumman program is going to continue to grow. In working with them, we anticipate that for the next 5 years, there's another 500 to 700 people per year, 500 to 700 per year that Northrop Grumman will need to hire for this program. So it's tremendous growth. There's a lot going on with the program. And then actually recently at Palmdale Airport, aircraft assembly program is extended to Palmdale Airport as well. So it's really a wonderful program. I just want to quickly move on to another program that Goodwill is a part of. It's a uniquely abled program. And uniquely abled is a term that we are now using, that Goodwill has coined for individuals with disability. So individuals who have some type of disability, whether it be intellectual or physical, a program was created to assist them. So basically at Goodwill, we feel that everybody can contribute. Everybody can work and contribute to society in some way if given the opportunity and if guided and assisted in the right way. So through a partnership with College of the Kenyans, individuals are now being trained in CNC machining, computer numerical control, in a fast-track program. And then once they're done with this program, again, we're going to assist them with finding employment. And we found that these individuals really have the skill set, the aptitude, the mindset to do this type of work. So while some people might have just maybe written them off and thought, well, maybe you can't do anything more than just simple kind of work, through just kind of evaluation and screening and talking with these individuals, we found that there is a career track for them to be successful. So you can see some of the numbers there. It's a very successful program. It's really great numbers, but the program is really expanding beyond College of the Canyons. We're working with Glendale City College as well as El Camino Real to expand the program. We're looking to actually expand it even to other colleges in the future.
I think this is your last slide.
I think this is,
2 more slides.
yes.
Thank you.
One other thing that Goodwill is doing, Goodwill is in a partnership, it's called SWAG, Strong Workforce Apprenticeship Group, which is another partnership with the College of the Canyons. And we work together to basically create and develop apprenticeships with manufacturing companies throughout the Southern California region. In fact, right to my left here, Bill Bowden with Repair Tech International is one of the companies that we work with to basically to train individuals to upskill, essentially, individuals who are already working at a company, to upskill them to make them even, a greater asset for the company, to improve their skill set, and basically really to kind of help kind of change the culture at companies, to rather than just kind of having individuals just work and be set in a position forever, but to train them so they can be more diverse and more valuable to that company. So, and you can see some of the numbers for that program as well. Yeah, I want to move on. And then this last slide here just shows some of the companies we're working with where we have customized training programs developed with these companies. And with these customized training programs, what I like to call kind of a triangle of career development, where you have a business that has a need, that has positions to fill, and then you find a training provider, an educational institution that can train individuals in a certain position, and then you work with a workforce agency to recruit and provide the funding for those individuals. And when you get the three working together, you get some great outcomes.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
James. Okay,
Sorry. Thank
so
you.
we're going to go ahead and we'll move on
Thank
to
you.
Bill, and then at the
Thank you,
end we'll
Patricia.
do a overall question panel.
Good program.
Is it
Doing the green one.
there we go, outstanding.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Bill Bowden, and I'm the general manager for Repair Tech International. We were founded in 1978 by, coincidentally, our founder happened to be here today with our director of sales, Luke Love.
Oh,
So
Yes.
we just happened to meet each other in the back room here.
All right.
I didn't even know they were going to come here, so
wow.
some support here. So Repair Tech was founded back in 1978 by Stan, and what we do is we're a 145 repair station. We repair primarily pneumatic component piece parts that go into the starters, air cycle machines. We're starting to get into some APU work, some IDG work, check valves, and some actuators. Over the years, we've grown over hundreds and hundreds of different repair developments. In conjunction to our 145 credentials, we also have our certification with China, Japan. We're CASE certified by the airlines and also by Transport Canada. So we're highly regulated like everybody else is here. Some of our customer base, we not only the OEMs, but we also service the airlines directly and also the military. We're a small, mid-sized company. We've now grown to about 44 people, looking to hire some people right now. We have a strong engineering department. That is our focal point and our niche in the marketplace. We have 2 on-site DER, which is designated engineering representatives, that allows us to go beyond the book repairs in the commercial end of the business. For approximately 8 years now, we've had continuous improvement in lean manufacturing and process improvement. We have a 9,000 square foot building, and we also have approximately 11,000 square foot building where we house our electron beam welding company, which is approximately about a mile down the road. Conventional machining and CNC machining is what we do. We have TIG welding, we have in-process inspection, NDT inspection, and specialized machines such as lapping, heat treating, etc. Some of the key capabilities is the grind plate grind. What we do is we cut sections of parts out. We remanufacture parts in our machine shop. We bond them together through various processes, whether it's braze, welding, epoxies, and bring the part back into a new serviceable condition, which goes back onto the aircraft. And we do that through threaded inserts, replating, plasma spray, and more importantly, it is done through our team. And what I mean by our team, it is our employees. James mentioned earlier about upskill training, and that is the key focal point of where we are and how we maintain competitive in the marketplace, because not only do we service the industry domestically, we service the industry globally. So it's paramount that we continually train our staff, and through the help of James at Goodwill and his staff, we created this training matrix. And what we had our staff do, and this is something our staff did, it wasn't management fed, it was fed by the employees. And what they did is they each evaluated themselves on their skill sets in their area. And it went from not only from the front office, but it also went to the back end, from shipping, receiving, to the sort of in the finishing area, to our machinists, to our welding area, etc. And they evaluated themselves on whether they had the ability to perform the job solo, if they had the ability to train somebody else, if they had the ability to enhance that particular function. So what it's done, if you look at one area, you'll see a lot of white. And what that tells us very quickly is we have some deficiencies in our program that we need to build upon. So it clearly defined where we needed some in-house training, and that's where we looked to James and an outside consultant to help us develop internal training programs to bolster our system up. This is an example of inside our conference room. We've got Post-its, boards. The training happens every Tuesday. We have a gentleman named Dennis Grogan. And he comes in once a week for about 6 hours, and we have breakout teams that do various functions. Oh.
It's advancing nicely for you?
There you go. Yeah, yeah, it's working very well. And this is all employee fed. It's not the owner, Kevin, or myself, or the management team forcing it. It's them making the changes themselves. So through this, we have employee involvement, employee ownership, and they have a pulse on what's going on. So they're in charge of their own educational program through Glendale College, through Valley College, through College of the Canyons, and through our internal apprenticeship program through you guys. And we have approximately 10 people that went through this apprenticeship program, and some of them have reinvigorated and are in a process of doing a 4-year program right now. And we've come up with some core values, what we believe is to be a part of our team, and we call ourselves a family. So it's integrity, customer satisfaction, accuracy, growth, and I can't see the one below, which is commitment to each other. So,
Outstanding.
Great, thank you on that. We're going to do some questions after Walt's presentation here.
All right, so I need to be careful with this, is that?
yeah, I don't know what I'm
Get the power there.
All right, does it look like it's mine? Let's see if we can advance to the next slide. So I'm Walter Urbanchuk. I'm from AeroJet Rocketdyne. It's my, I think, 3rd year coming to AeroDev, helping out Patricia. I don't think my slides are quite up yet, or if they are, we'll go ahead and advance. Doesn't seem to do so. We'll see if we can get some help from Bill there.
right there.
That one right there?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, whoops, we already covered that part. So, just a little bit about my background and how we're all interconnected. You heard from James talking about education and how there's a big hole in education and a big hole in the workforce. And James is out there; he's doing his best to get us qualified candidates and bring those in. I myself was one of those candidates you'll see on there with an Associate of Applied Sciences. Bill, in your area, my A&P license. And I did that out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, through a program very similar to the Goodwill program. That was back in the late 80s. Then went on and got my engineering degree at the University of Washington Aeronautical Astronautical Engineering. And then I always loved airplanes and spacecraft, and said, man, I got to get into the spacecraft. I met a guy named Charlie Vaughn that had these great engines laying out on the table, much like what you've seen these additive folks putting out bell nozzles and things like that today. And he says, "You want to come work for me?" And I said, "Absolutely, I gotta do this." And so I was hooked. So once I was hooked, I started out in manufacturing engineering, but I learned all kinds of skills along the way. I just been a lifelong learner, and that's what you need to do to be in an industry, as you guys all know. But you also need that nice sponsorship from the government, from small companies like Bill, or from large companies like Northrop and mid-size like myself. And you got to embrace that, and you got to go with it, right? You got to put that extra time in. You'll be that lifelong learner. So I got a certificate in program management. I earned that while on the job, and was in the program office for about 10 years. I got my Six Sigma Green Belt to learn about lean. And of course, we already talked about my A&P certificate. I've worked at all 3 kind of sizes of companies: smaller than 100, somewhere between 100 and a few thousand, and then greater than 1,000, with the Boeings and Crane Aerospace and things like that. That's just a little bit about myself. I'm going to talk a little bit more about me than the other folks talked there. But what I'm currently doing is at AeroJet Rocketdyne is we call ourselves the Center of Defense and Discovery. We support human exploration, space exploration with the new SLS launch system that you're seeing on many of these boards that are around. We're providing the main propulsion for that, which is a spin-off of the RS-25 engine that you've seen on the space shuttle. We also do in-space power propulsion. You guys have probably seen some really cool graphics on the Discovery Channel. This nice greenish blue halo. It's in a circle, and it throws out a really cool plume. And it's electric propulsion. It gets really good gas mileage. It's not very fast. It's kind of like a golf court relative to a Trans Am, let's say, right? You know, if you want to race the old Trans Ams, from back in the Rockford File days or whatever those old days are. And But you can go a lot farther with a lot less energy, and you can get places. And so that's going to be our space-based platform for NASA going forward. And of course, we use missile defense, as we heard John, with our continuous pressures on our country, right? That is a key element for all of us. And I do like that he says it's nice God's work, or whatever you'd like to call it, right? That he's putting forward. But we need that for America to make sure that we're safe and we get all these great opportunities to help one another. So we have a little video that's there. It's 1 minute and 40 seconds. The music gets a little bit exciting and starts building on itself, just giving an idea of some of the things that we do. And so I'll see if I can ask our tech folks to start our video and give it a shot. Believe it or not, it does get me choked up because I really like rockets that much, so that's just how I am, I guess. So, but a lot of times people just ask, what is your daily life, right? They see this video at the Goodwill and they're like, there's no way I could possibly do that, which is not true. It's done as a team. One of my, what I call, high POTS, high potential individuals is out in the crowd. And he's one of our learners. He's going to give me some feedback here later at the end of how I did talk. But it starts out as a team. We have our individual disciplines. We help one another. We talk, and that is the key: is to be a team, just like what Bill's talking about, and then to try to invest in those people going forward. And to tie back into John's presentation in advance, we got an overall American problem, which is what I don't have this on the slide, but what you really wanted me to bring up, and it's my viewpoint of. We had the baby boomers that are starting to retire, and you'll see this on the next slide, and they're exiting the workforce. There was 90 million of those folks, and that's an incredible amount of skill set, talent, patience, friendships, all present. And then there was about a $30 million group or population of Gen Xers, which is I'm part of. And most of us chose to go off into the software industries. They didn't go into the manufacturing because we were farming a lot of it out. And as John said, unfortunately over to China to some degree, right? I don't think it's as dire as John says, but nonetheless over to China, a lot of our work went. So we had to find work elsewhere. Now we're ramping back up, and there just isn't people to hire. We have trouble attracting talent, or the talent doesn't exist. And so I really applaud people like James and Bill putting those times in. I'm jealous of your skills matrix chart. Good job.
Thank you.
That's out there. I really like that. But the daily life, what happens instead of being as a director where I might say here's skills and policy, because of that skill set gap, I get much more involved in the day-to-day activities. I have about 130 people, and a lot of them end up relying on me to help through the day because of that gap in skills, and so we need to continue to build it. And so I end up communicating internally to the customers in the technical solutions, using my old skill sets as much as my current ones. Collaborate on designs. I help develop tooling, CNC programs. I might be out on the floor help diagnosing an issue, which is kind of a little bit different. It's good to have that family experience like Bill's talking about, but it is a little bit of a symptom of the challenges we have in the industry as a whole. And then my favorite part is to train and mentor our employees. That's the part that gives me a lot of self-gratification, knowing that I'm 10 to 15 years away from retirement, and I need to be able to pass this knowledge along to someone else. And so Patricia is helping out with that type of activity. We've been partnering with the SME and having them come in, do some analyses of our program. And we have some continuous improvement activities that are happening all the time associated with training. So about every 2 weeks we have a formalized training program. So we're experiencing, like I talked, really similar demographics between the large gaps between new hires and the near retirement experienced staff. We're having rapid growth, like all of us, which is great. That's a really good problem to have. But that traditional one-on-one mentorship just doesn't work. You used to be able to say, well, let's take John and assign John over to this new hire, right, newbie, and the newbie would just follow him around for a year or more and really understand what's going on. None of us can afford that anymore. There's not enough mentors around. So we have to develop and strengthen these programs that's out. Do these very wonderful organizational things that you see these folks doing, and then invest ourselves. And then the new entries that come into the workforce, they are conditioned to be lifelong learners, which is kind of a departure from the past. They really, really want to learn all the time. And they want it fast, and they want specifically what they need. It's kind of like an on-demand thing. If you can give them a DVR and say, this is the training I want, that's what they're looking for. I don't have that type of program. I'm working on it, but I don't have that quite developed. So, this really working on that targeted, kind of tactical. I have this problem today, show me the training associated with the day. So I have this kind of sharing a little bit about my son and I. So my son's 24 now. This was about 5 or 6 years ago. And he got the hand-me-down family car, and he was out and he wanted to try his hand at sales, so he was going from place to place. And he gives me a call and says, hey, Dad, car doesn't start. Of course, I said, okay, where are you? So I come on down, and I use my old A&P license skill set, thinking about, well, how should I diagnose this, and what are the problems? And of course, I'm pretty sure it's an alternator. So I give him a jump. I watch and see all the idiot lights inside, look under the hood, see what's going on there, right? And say, yep, it's the alternator, I know. So we limp it home, we get all the way home. And on the way home, I'm trying to think about, well, how are we gonna take this apart and get in those locations? He's sitting next to me on YouTube watching the video of how to do that, right? Which never would have occurred to me, right? But to him, he's watching YouTube. In fact, he found it was a 2005 Ford Escape, and he found the exact video of 2005 Ford Escape. He had 2 videos to watch, so this guy did it better than that guy. Well, Dad, so you better, use this second video. So I'm laying under the car, and he's reading out instructions on the video and showing me the video from up above. So that's a difference in learning style, because my generation, I learned kind of a theoretical and then a general application and maybe one specific example. Where my son, his thought process is, don't bother me with the theory. The general stuff is nice, but show me the specific problem. I want to solve that right now. And through that repetition of seeing the same thing over and over, he might understand the general, and if he needed to, understand the tactical. But it's a complete reverse system. So it's hard to communicate, and you have to be aware of that when you're doing these training programs, or it just doesn't take. It's rejected by the staff you're trying to reach. So that's been one of our more biggest challenges. And then, like all of you, I have a hard time, sharing a lot of details. I have a detailed charter, a regimented program that I go through. We look at our skills matrix, not as beautiful as Bill's, but very similar. We partner with the industry, but the key is you got to create, no matter what you do, you got to create that transparent, trusting environment. And if you don't, the people you're trying to train are not going to tell you what they're missing. They don't feel comfortable in doing that, and they don't feel respected. So you got to start with that. You have to make sure that's absolutely there, and we have it. We just continue to foster it. Then we got to create challenges in a structured environment, just like that alternator example. You got to test the group, the ones with a lot of experience, the mid-year experience, and a little experience all together, purposely mix them up and give them a challenge and say, here's your challenge, solve it, right? And they'll start breaking down those barriers themselves. Training in a group setting, don't let them go isolating on I know the online training is beautiful. I love the online training, but we do it as a group. We bring up the SME training, and we go through the lessons in a group of 20 or so, and we'll stop at each lesson and we'll talk and say, does anybody have an example that they'd like to share? And if they don't want to share, they say, well, guess what? It's your turn, right? And they'll have to go ahead and on the spot give us an example, and we'll go around the room until we get that sharing going. The groups, the group setting is just absolutely required to break down those demographic problems that we're talking about. The new hires that are coming in, they want to run the company today, and so you got to give them that chance, right? And so here's this training program. They want to give you feedback. Fine, have at it. It's yours. Here's your training program, right? I got the structure. I sponsor you. Go run with it. Go make it your own, right? And change the company to what you think you should be, and I'll guide you, but not necessarily edict it to you. And that seems to really resonate with this crowd. And then really take advantage of all those resources. I'm complimenting these folks to my right on purpose, because as you see the slide deck, and I just met these two folks 10 minutes ago, right? And we're all in it together. Reach out to them for some help. The old adage of be consistent and persistent, right? Those are true, but the tough one, especially difficult in an industry, is to be patient. You have to give the group time to learn, and very rarely do you ever have time. Schedule is a huge pressure, and so you have to come up with a way to solve your problems, get your product out the door, but allow that team the time to bond and grow and I guess really absorb the information so they can apply it. And then the last one, which is kind of the ugly stuff we don't like talking about, expect friction. There's going to be a lot of friction associated with the learning. Once they get comfortable and they're in that transparent environment, you got to let them give you feedback like that was just not a good class. And we've had good classes, we've had bad classes, we have good lessons, we have bad lessons, and they do share, right? If you promote that environment, and you need that feedback, even if you don't want to hear it. And so be ready for it. And then on the outside, our customers, we have a classic program office structure where the program office thinks they run everything, and they want to drive you to do their activities. And of course, then we battle back, and so you have to work that out and find that natural resistance, that natural friction. But the program office just wants their parts, today. They don't want to hear about, well, this guy's learning, we need to give him more time, right? Or this person's learning. And you just got to fight for that little bit of time that you have. It might require sitting down with your customer and say, I know this product today might be a little slower, but in the future you want a reliable, consistent product, and we need to allow this person that time to go. Most of the customers I found are pretty understanding of that. Not always can they be, but when you ask them and you partner with them, they do tend to appreciate. They understand the challenge, and they want that reliable supply chain later. So, regardless of the size. So I only had a few slides, and so that was pretty much it for me.
Yeah, and I want to keep that slide up as we end up, because I've got enough time to ask one question of each of you, and I thought that this slide was a great way. Now, all of you, of course, utilize Tooling USME resources, our e-learning, and so I guess the question I want to ask is, when you're from an employee standpoint, if you were sitting in the chair as an employee here, what would you say, that you want to see, or that you appreciate as far as training is concerned?
What I would say, and I think what's been highlighted here, is that basically using new methods of training, new methods, using technology, and that I think we found that people all learn in different capacities. And I think in the past, and I think some of us are of age, and that as we were growing up, everyone was kind of taught the same way. It was kind of a one-size-fits-all approach. And I think now we're finding that there's different types of learners. There's visual, there's kinesthetic. Some people can't just sit and listen to a lecture. So basically, using technology and different training methods that are right for that individual or that group, and also where you can maybe reach kind of a larger group or segment of people. So.
Could you repeat the question again?
So if you were sitting here as an employee, what would you say that interests you about training, or that you appreciate that your company has done as far as training is concerned?
Well, personally, I think when a company invests in their employees and allows them to get involved into whether it's college, university, apprenticeship, in-house training programs, whatever it may be, if an employee understands that a company is willing to invest in it, I think the amount of buy-in to the company and a sense of belonging, a sense that the company values their input and is willing to help them grow. We've got a very low turnover rate because of that, because we have this group setting where everybody's learning together and wants to grow. I would say that's probably the most important thing, is the fact that they feel that they're connecting and they're growing together and have an input on the footprint of the company and where we're going.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. And Walt, you get to wrap it up.
Well, that's hard to beat, Bill. So that's pretty good, because for me, we actually polled to say what do you want to see, what do you want to hear, and what do you like? And the general feedback I get is just any training, even the bad training is okay. Well, it's better than nothing at all, right? It's hard to get it at companies, and they really appreciate the investment. It does build that family that Bill's talking about. We're breaking down barriers. The individual I brought here's name is Joe, and Joe was sharing with me before the meeting that being able to talk, we have multiple programs as you've seen online. Well, those programs are all consuming, and you might be with a small group of people and they're all bonded together greatly, but this other group over here you don't even talk to, even though you're the same discipline. So these training programs are allowing that kind of cross-pollination, let's say, right, where they get to talk more, and it breaks down just, hey, hey, remember, I seen you in class, isn't that great? How did you like that class? Well, I didn't, but or I did, right? And they have that conversation and that bonding happens. So it builds that sense of community, right? And I don't know how to put your finger or your value on that activity, but people that feel like they belong, have a way to shape the company, have a company that's willing to invest in them, right? They do want to stay. They want to be a part of it. And then when they're called upon for the most challenging things, like we have a rapid repair on a plane, right? Or a very intense delivery, right? They're going to jump right in there as a team, as a group already, and go, right? And solve the problem. So they seem to be very interested in the community aspect of it.
Thank you for that. And I do want to mention for those of you, in the audience too, that as Walt Slide had pointed out, and with Goodwill and Repair Tech and AeroDef Rocketdyne, there are opportunities to work together with your Workforce Development Board, with different programs, both local, state, and federal. So one of the things we like to do is be a connector of this resources and ecosystem. So please talk to us about that. And you guys have each of you has brought up some really good points, and I look forward to continuing this discussion at the networking event tonight. I hope that you all join us at the the Porsche experience, and find us and ask us some questions. So I want to be sure to thank you, James, Bill, and Walt, for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Round of
Appreciate it.
applause.